Hi there, I'm Eric Gall, and today I want to talk to you about a better way to support your loved one with a developmental disability to learn life skills, or we might call this independence. And what I've realized working with families is just by changing, oh, by the way, including my family, so just by the way that we think, and if we can change our thinking around life skills and independence as a parent or as another family member, that's when we can make a lot of progress. That's when we can support our loved one to make a lot of progress really quickly. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So I just wrapped up registration for the Plan My Future coaching program course, and it was awesome. Some of you may have joined the free life plan workshop that I ran just before that course. And one of the insights that really hit me during that time was just around this idea of changing our thinking and changing our focus and how we're looking at things and how impactful that can be. I talk about in that free workshop, and actually inside the course, I also talk about this inner and outer model. So let me explain it quickly here for you because I think it's going to be helpful for you. So there's kind of two areas where we can focus, right? On the outer things, so those might be tools, resources, best practices, supports, finances, funding, kind of all of those things, right? So those would be things outside of us. And then there's these things that we can focus on inside of us, which would be our fears, our mindsets, our attitudes, our beliefs, our thinking. And most of the time, as you know, parents or a sibling or a grandparent, a family member, we're focused on the outside stuff. We're focused on how do we get more support? How do we get more funding? And we don't focus on the inside stuff. And the key here is if we don't focus on the inside stuff, if we don't focus on ourselves, we don't focus on how we're thinking about, you know, in this case, life skills and independence, then our loved one can't make progress, right? So let's think about this. So how do we often try and support our loved one to learn life skills? Well, we're looking at the outside stuff. We're looking at, you know, what program is there that could support my loved one to learn life skills, or who could teach my loved one to learn life skills, or I don't know. We're looking on the outside. But the challenge is, like, even if our loved one does go do one of those programs around learning life skills or independence, that doesn't often translate into much because again, that inner work, that inner game that we need to think about as a family member, because in practice, you know, especially if we're living with our loved one, if things don't change inside of our home, if our loved one doesn't get the opportunity to practice the things that they're learning, then, you know, we lose them, right? So let's say that our loved one is learning how to cook, whether it's at a cooking program or with a supporter or whatever, but if they don't get the opportunity to cook or to participate in cooking at home and to practice, it's never going to happen. So that requires us to change our thinking as family members. We need to then provide the opportunity for our loved one to cook in home. But that requires us to change our thinking about how we operate inside of our home. It requires us to change our patterns, right? So there's just this insight that I want to share with you around a better way to support our loved one to grow their independence, to gain their life skills. And that's just getting real opportunities, right? Like, a program is something that's really pretend, right? It's kind of like a mock example in a different practice arena that isn't real. That's not where our loved one is going to be doing the day-to-day life skills, where they're going to be doing the day-to-day independent activities. So we need to give our loved one real opportunities, right? So they need to, you know, they need the real opportunities, and we need to work through the inner work, right? So we need to stop focusing on the outer, shift to the inner, and start to think about, well, how can we start to work through some of our fears? How can we start to work through, you know, if we have a fear around the stove in the kitchen, how can we support our loved one to learn how to use the stove or use What's an alternative to using the stove, right? How can we support our loved one to get the opportunity to do the laundry and not be, one of the things that I talk about with families a lot is progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. So something might not get done the way that we were expecting it to get done, but if we give our loved one the opportunity to try, give them support, then they can make progress, right? And it's not about perfection. And no program, no outer thing is going to change this. It's all about how we're thinking as a family member, and it really starts with us, right? Independence, this is another key. Independence for our loved one, life skill building for our loved one starts with mom, or starts with dad or sibling, or whoever they're spending the most time with. It starts within your household, and it starts with you, right? We need to internalize that instead of externalize. So there's a few insights that I hope were helpful for you in this short video. So this is something that I'm really focusing on with families, and seeing families take a lot of steps forward and make a lot of progress. So I'm thinking about doing more videos like this, talking about how to support our loved one to continue to build their independence, continue to build the skills that they're going to need to be more independent and successful in their own lives, to give people more agency. So this is something that I'm thinking about doing more of. If it's of interest to you, if you want me to do more on this topic, leave me a comment below. Let me know what was helpful for you in this video, and if you want more on this topic of life skills and independence and helping our loved one grow, let me know in the comments below, and I might even build like a small course or something like that to support you with this thinking and to make progress. So I'm Eric Gall. Together, let's take a step forward this week.